Welcome to Get Solutions. This is Lokesh. So in last class we have discussed the various forms of amalgamation, that is horizontal merger, vertical merger, conglomeration merger, and under conglomeration merger it can be further classified into two types, that is product extension and market extension merger, and the last form of amalgamation merger is nothing but concentric merger. So in this class we are going to discuss other concept, that is demerger. Okay, so before going to the concept of demerger, you have to remember once again what is amalgamation or merger. Okay, so merger is nothing but combination of two or more business organization to form a new company, right? See here, a demerger is a form of corporate restructuring in which the entities or business organizations or business operations are segregated into one or more companies. Here the concept of demerger is compared with the corporate restructuring. Why means the corporate restructuring is also says the same meaning. What is this corporate restructuring? That is restructuring the existing management. That is fundamental change in the business operations is nothing but corporate restructuring. For example, if the management going to decide to establish the new companies in new location, then what the management will be going to decide in the sense, the management decided to segregate its business operations in two localities and two geographical area. So then again the management will be restructuring the business organization, that is restructuring the existing business organization to start up the new business entities in the different locations. So the demerger is also stated the same meaning. So demerger is a form of corporate restructuring, which means the demerger is also includes and stated that fundamental changes in the business operations. So ultimately the demerger is a form of corporate restructuring in which the entities business operations are segregated into one or more business companies. For example, see, in amalgamation, company A and company B is going to combine together to form a new company. So this process is ultimately called as amalgamation, right? See, amalgamation is also called as merger. So merger is nothing but combination. So in a similar way, demerger is nothing but segregation. Okay, see, assume this C company is the existing company. So the management of C company is going to decide to segregate its operation into two entities such as company D and company E. Observe, the C company is segregating here. So one is become D company and another operations become E company. So when the existing company is segregated into two or more business entities, then ultimately this process called as demerger. Okay. The concept of demerger is again classified into two types. One is spin-off and another one is split up. Let me discuss now one by one what is spin-off and what is split up. So first one, spin-off. So you have to keep it in mind the meaning of demerger, okay, and also meaning of merger. Once again, merger is combination, demerger is segregation. So you keep it in mind, these two words, okay. So you will easily get to know. Okay, so spin-off is the creation of an independent business organization through the sale or distribution of a new shares of an existing business organization or division of a parent company. So when this spin-off operations carried out by the business organizations, That is, when a corporation spin off a business unit that has become and that has its own management structure, and also it sets it up as an independent company under a renamed business entity. So what they are going to describe here, that is, under spin-off situation, the existing company will be going to create a new independent company. So ultimately this spin-off comes under the demerger, right? So again, a demerger is nothing but the existing company segregate its business into two business organization. So what is the process called? Ultimately it is called as demerger, right? So the spin-off says it is the creation of new business entities, that is new independent business organization. Here the existing C company creating the independent companies, that is D company and E company becomes an independent company. Why means C company is establishing a new company in new location, that is in a new geographical area. So that's why D and E company becomes the new company. That means C company is creating the new company. So after creating the new company by the existing company, that is existing C company, it will distribute the shares to the E company and D company. Why means C company only creating the new company. So it is the D and E is the part of C company. So that's why after establishing the new company by the existing C company, the C company will be going to distribute the new shares to the existing shareholders of the new company. Okay, so once again I will going to repeat. The existing company will be going to create the independent company, that is D and E company is the independent company or a new company that is created by the existing company C company. Okay, so after creating the new company by the existing company, the existing company or parent company will be going to distribute the new shares to the new company to the existing shareholders. So okay, so existing company ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನ್ಯೂ ಕಂಪನಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ ಇರೋ ಶೇರ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡರ್ಸ್ಗೆ ಶೇರ್ಸ್ನ ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ಸ್ ವೈ ಇನ್ ದಿಸ್ ಸ್ಪಿನ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್, after establishing a new business organization by the existing company, the C company, that is existing company, will be going to survival. It will not going to wind up. ಅಂದರೆ existing company close ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಅಂದರೆ wind up ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. So it will be continue to exist, ಅಂದರೆ ಸರ್ವೈವಲ್ ಆಗಿ ತನ್ನ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ನ ಅದು ನಡ್ಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ it will be going to manage the new companies, that is D and E company. But only in this spin-off situation, you have to keep it in mind, the existing company will be not going to wind up, close agodilla. Okay, so that is a very important concept here. Okay, so this is the spin-off. See, a spin-off is the creation of independent company, right? So what are the independent companies in the example? D and E company, through the sale or distribution of a new shares. That is, which company will be going to distribute the new shares? That is existing C company will be going to issue the new shares to the existing shareholders of the new company, that is D company and E company ಗೆ existing company C company ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು existing shareholders ಗೆ new shares na issue ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. Okay, so that is the meaning stated that a spin-off is the creation of an independent company through the sale or distribution of a new shares of an existing business organization or by a parent company to new company to existing shareholders. Okay, so when this spin-off situations arises in the business organization, then the new company becomes, and then the new company will be set up the new management structure. So that is the only thing. When corporations spin off a business, then the business organization has its own management structure. Okay, then it set up ಇಂಡಿಪೆಂಡೆಂಟ್ ಕಂಪನಿ ಅಂಡರ್ ರೀನೇಮ್ಡ್ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಎಂಟಿಟಿ. ಸೊ ಹೊಸದಾಗಿ ನೇಮ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ನ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ಯಾವಾಗ ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಸ್ಪಿನ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ಗೆ ಎಂಟರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೋ ಆಗ ಹೊಸದಾಗಿ ಎಸ್ಟಾಬ್ಲಿಷ್ ಆಗಿರೋ ಕಂಪನೀಸ್ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೋ ಆ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಕೂಡ ಚೇಂಜಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಇಂಡಿಪೆಂಡೆಂಟ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್. ಸೊ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಓನ್ ಆಗಿ ಡಿಸಿಷನ್ಸ್ನ ತಗೋಬಹುದು, ಅಂದರೆ ಓನ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಸ್ಪಿನ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನಲ್ಲಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಟೈಪ್ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಸ್ಪ್ಲಿಟ್ ಅಪ್. ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿಸ್ ಸ್ಪ್ಲಿಟ್ ಅಪ್? A split up describes the action of a corporation or business organization that is segmenting into two or more separate entities, that is separately run entities. So in a similar way, that is it is a similar to the spin off position, but there is a slight difference between this spin off and split up. So split up is describes that it is an action or event or task of the business organization or a corporation, which means segmenting into two or more separately run entities. Okay, see with the example I will give a clarity so that you will get a clarity about these two concepts, spin off and split up. See, in spin-off, the existing company is going to establish a new company or creating the independent companies, that is D and E company. So after establishing the new companies D and E, the existing C company will be continue to exist in spin-off situation. Okay, so in a similar way, in split up also the existing company will be going to create the independent companies, but after distributing the shares to the new company to the existing shareholders of the new company by the parent company, the existing company or parent company not going to survival. Okay, so after distributing the all of its shares to the new company to the existing shareholders, in split up situation completely the new company will be going to acquire the all shares of the existing company, so that in split up the existing company completely divided into two parts, that is one is D and another one is E. Okay, so in spin off situation, after distributing the shares, that is sum of new shares to the new company to the existing shareholders, the C company, that is existing company survival and continue to exist in future in spin off situation. But in split up situation, after distributing the shares to the new company, the existing company is not going to survival. Okay, so completely the existing company will be going to wind up. Okay, so that is split up situation. So this is the slight difference between the spin off and split up. It is nothing but acquisition, or it is also called as absorption, or it is also called as takeover. Okay, see, an acquisition may be defined as act of acquiring the effective control by one company over assets or management of the another company without any combination. See here the word combination. So where you have used this word combination, that is exactly in the amalgamation or merger. So what is amalgamation or merger? It is the combination of two or more companies to form a new company, right? So that is called as amalgamation. See, in this acquisition, without any combination of the companies, the one company is going to acquire the assets and acquire the management of the another company without any combination. So this process is called as acquisition or absorption or takeover. So here the company is acquiring the some or whole assets or management of the another company, that is only acquiring but not entered into the combination concept. Okay, so without any combination, the one company is acquiring the assets and management or control of the another company, then it comes under the acquisition or absorption or takeover concept. Okay, so in acquisition, the two or more companies may be remain independent or separate legal entities. So the amalgamation is the concept, it is the combination of a companies to form a new company. But in case of acquisition, the companies are, that is the company is acquiring the assets and management and control of the another company, but not to form a new company. So instead of forming a new company, the existing company will be going to take over the existing business. It includes business of the another company also. So that in acquisition, the two or more companies may be remain independently. Okay, so both the companies are going to remain independently, and also it will be called as the separate legal entities. Okay, even after acquiring the control of the another company or acquiring the assets and management of the another company. Okay, so with the example I will going to show how it works out. See, in amalgamation, the company A and company B is going to amalgamated into form a new company. So this is transferee company. So A company and B company is called as transferor company. So similarly, in acquisition concept, so company A and company B is there. For example, assume company A take over the assets and management of the B company. Okay, so after acquiring the assets and management of the B company by a company, then A company will be going to carry out the existing business of B company. Okay, so here without any combination, the A company is going to carry out the existing business of B company also. So this process called as acquisition or absorption. So this company, so this concept called as amalgamation or merger. So in the amalgamation, both the companies are combined together to form a new company, right? So in acquisition concept, the company will be going to acquire the assets and management of the another company, not to form a new company. So instead of not to form a new company, the company will be going to carry out the existing business of the another company by acquiring the assets and management of the another company. Okay, you keep it in mind, the difference between the acquisition and amalgamation. Okay, see the diagram of merger and acquisition. So in case of merger, there is a old company A and old company B. Okay, see, old company A and old company B is combined together to form a new company, is called as amalgamation. Okay, so in case of acquisition, you observe the old company A and old company B is not going to combine together. So instead of combining, the existing company will be going to take over the existing business, either A or B. So A ಆದರೂ business ನ carry out ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದ್ರೆ B ಆದರೂ business ನ carry out ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. That is through acquiring the assets and management and control by the one company of another company. For example, assume if A is acquiring the assets and management of the B company, then A will be going to take over the existing business of B also. If similarly B company is going to acquire the assets and management of the business of A, then B company is going to carry out the existing business of A company also. So this process called as acquisition. Okay, so this is the slight difference between the merger and acquisition. Under merger, the combine, that is the combination is the two companies going to form a new company, that is combining together, both the companies are combined together to form a new company, that is under merger. Under acquisition, the companies are not going to combine together, so instead of combining, the existing business will be going to take over the existing business, either A or B. Okay, that is how, in the sense, by acquiring the assets and management of the another business or another entity. So in amalgamation also we have learned about the concept, that is the transferor company and transferee company. So the transferor company is nothing but, so which company is going to transfer the assets and liabilities to the another company, so that company is called as transferor company, which means the transferor company is a company, so which company is going to amalgamate it into another company, so that company is called as transferor company. And transferee company is a company into which the transfer company is amalgamated. So that is, the two companies are under amalgamation. So in this case, acquisition or absorption and takeover also, you have the two further concept. So one is acquired company and another one is acquiring company. See the diagram. Okay, so the old company A is there and old company B is there. Okay, so in this acquisition concept, there is no the word of combination, right? So the combination is related to amalgamation or merger. So in this acquisition, one company is going to acquire the management or assets and have the control over the assets of the another company. For example, assume A company going to acquire the assets from the B company. Once again, A company is acquiring the assets from the B company, then ultimately A company will be going to start up or taken over the business or take over the business of B company also. Okay, see, A company is purchasing the assets from the B company, then A company has a right to control the assets of the B company. Ultimately, A company will be going to take over the business. If suppose B company, okay, see, if suppose B company will be going to acquire the assets of the A company, then B company has a right to control the assets of the A company. Then which company will be going to take over the business of the organization? Which company will be going to take over the business? Ultimately, the B company will be going to take over the business, because B company is purchasing the assets of the A company. Then B company only has a right to control the assets of A company. Okay, so in brief, next example we will discuss which is definitely acquired company and which becomes the acquiring company. See, acquiring company. Okay, see, acquiring company is a company or a single existing company that purchases the majority of the equity shares of the one or more company. So once again, the acquiring company is a company or a business organization or a single existing business or a company that purchases the majority of the equity shares of the another company, that is majority of the equity shares of the one or more business organization. Okay, how, in the sense, for example, assume a company A and company B. Okay, see, company A acquiring the assets, that is majority of the equity shares of B company, then ultimately A company will be going to take over the business of B also, right? Then this A company is becoming acquiring company. this B company becomes acquired company. See the difference between acquired company and acquiring company here. Acquiring company, why A company is called as acquiring company? In the sense, because A company only purchasing and acquiring the assets of the B company, therefore A company becomes acquiring company. Then why B company is called as acquired company? In the sense, because B company will be surrenders its assets to A company, therefore B company becomes acquired company. Here A company purchasing the assets of B company, therefore A only take over the business of existing A company business or management and also B company business. For example, see, there is a company, this is another example, and B company. See, in previous example, A company is purchasing the assets of B company. Then A company becomes an acquiring company and B company becomes acquired company. So in this example, assume company B is acquiring the business, that is company B is purchasing the majority shares of the A company. Then which company is going to take over the business or existing business? Ultimately B company is going to take over the business of existing B business and also A company business. So then this B company becomes acquiring company and A company becomes acquired company. Why means, because A company is surrenders its assets to B company. Then B company is purchasing the assets of A company, therefore B company becomes an acquiring company and A company becomes acquired company. So this is the difference between acquired company and acquiring company. Let's see the meaning. Acquiring company is a company or a single existing company that purchases the majority of the equity shares of the one or more business organization. That means acquiring company is a company, so which company is purchasing the assets and purchases the majority shares of the another company, then ultimately the particular company is called as acquiring company. So similarly, the acquired company is nothing but, acquired company is those company that surrenders the majority of their equity shares to an acquiring company. So which company surrenders their assets to another company called acquiring company, so that particular company is called as acquired company. So in previous example we clearly know that which is acquired company and which is acquiring company. Generally, the amalgamation can be classified into two types based on the nature, that is amalgamation in the nature of merger and amalgamation in the nature of purchase. So before going to know about these concepts, so first of all we have to know what is the difference between this amalgamation in the nature of merger and amalgamation in the nature of purchase. Let me discuss now the differences between the amalgamation in the nature of merger and amalgamation in the nature of purchase. So first difference is based on the method of accounting. See, amalgamation in the nature of merger. So pooling interest method is generally used for the accounting purpose. So it is also called as amalgamation in the nature of merger. The pooling interest method is the another name for the amalgamation in the nature of merger. That's it. So that's why this amalgamation in the nature of merger is also called as pooling interest method. So similarly, there is no another name for this amalgamation in the nature of purchase. So purchase method is generally used for the accounting purpose under amalgamation in the nature of purchase. So it is also called as amalgamation in the nature of purchase. And the second difference is based on the applicability. So amalgamation, the nature of merger, is applicable for the amalgamation concept. That is, you know already, amalgamation is also called as merger. So merger is nothing but combination of two companies to form a new company. Ultimately the process called as amalgamation. So that's why amalgamation, the nature of merger, is applicable for the concept of amalgamation. Okay, see, similarly, amalgamation, the nature of purchase. So purchase is nothing but purchasing of assets and liabilities of the another company by the another existing company. That is acquiring the assets of the another company. So which means the concept related to acquiring and the concept related to acquisition. So that's why amalgamation in the nature of purchase is related to acquisition, that is applicable to acquisition concept. And the third difference is based on the how the companies are going to record its assets and liabilities in the books of account. See, assets and liabilities and reserves of the transferor company are recorded at their existing carrying amount or book value. Under amalgamation, the nature of purchase, assets and liabilities are recorded either at existing carrying amount or by allocating the consideration to the individual assets on the basis of their fair value or agreed value. So in this difference, you have to know what is book value and what is agreed value, right? See, in this difference we are going to learn how the companies will be going to record its assets and liabilities in their books of account. See, the existing carrying amount is also called as book value. Okay. With the example, I will give a clarity, that is what is existing carrying amount or book value and what is the agreed market value or fair value. See, many times I have given this example. Company A and company B going to merge together to form a new company called C company. So in this example, A company and B company is nothing but transferor company, right? So ultimately C company called as transferee company, right? So why C company called as transferee company? In the sense, because C company only purchasing the assets and liabilities of the both transferor company, right? So assume before transferring the assets and liabilities, A company has the fixed asset, that is 50,000. Assume before transferring of assets from A company to C company, A company has the fixed asset value 50,000. Okay, so while transferring the fixed asset from A company to C company, A company sells its fixed asset at the rupees of 60,000. Okay, see, in this example I will give a complete clarity. So now this 50,000 will be called as book value. Okay, so existing carrying amount. But A company will be going to sell the fixed asset at rupees 60,000. So this is agreed value. This is fair market value. At rupees 60,000, the fixed assets of A company will be going to sold out to C company based on the fair market value or agreed value. Now in this example, that is before transferring the asset, that is the value of fixed asset is 50,000, that is book value. So while transferring, the fixed asset of the A company sold out to the C company at rupees 60,000. This is agreed market value or fair market value. So this is the difference between the book value and agreed market value. And one more thing you have to keep it in mind, this book value will be given in your problem, that is in the balance sheet, and this 60,000, that is agreed value, will be given in your problem only, that is in adjustment. Okay, now see the concept. Recording of assets and liabilities and reserves of the transferor company are recorded at their existing carrying amount. Okay, now you will get an idea, right? See, transferor company will be going to record their assets and liabilities based on the existing carrying amount, that is nothing but book value. So based on book value, it will be going to record the value of assets and liabilities in their books of account. So similarly, in case of amalgamation in the nature of purchase, the company will be going to record, that is assets and liabilities are recorded either at existing carrying amount or book value, or they're going to record their assets based on the agreed market value. Okay, so if the company, that is the transfer company, will be going to sold out at the same value in the books of account. So books of account, that is book value ನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿದೆಯೋ ಅದೇ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ಗೆ ಏನಾದರೂ ಸೋಲ್ಡ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನ್ಯೂ ಕಂಪನಿಗೆ, ಸೊ ಬುಕ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂನೇ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಇಫ್ ಎಲ್ಸ್ ಅಗ್ರೀಡ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಇನ್ಕ್ರೀಸ್ಡ್ ಆರ್ ಡಿಕ್ರೀಸ್ಡ್ ಮ್ಯಾನರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾದರೂ ಅಸೆಟ್ಸ್ನ ಸೋಲ್ಡ್ ಔಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅಗ್ರೀಡ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಸ್ನ ತಗೊಳ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ದಟ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಇಫ್ ದ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಕಂಪನಿ ಸೋಲ್ಡ್ ಔಟ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ಫಿಕ್ಸಡ್ ಅಸೆಟ್ ಸೇಮ್ ಆಸ್ ದಿ ಬುಕ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ, ದೆನ್ in the adjustment, that is in the while calculation or while doing the problem, we are going to record the same value, that is book value. If else, we are going to take the agreed market value. That's it. Okay, see the next difference based on the profit and loss account of the transferor company. So balance of profit and loss account of the transferor company should be aggregated with the corresponding balance in the profit and loss account of the transferee company. Okay, so if there is any balances in the transferor company, that is after transferring the assets and liabilities, that profit and loss account balance must be aggregated with the corresponding profit and loss account of the transferee company. That is ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರರ್ ಕಂಪನಿ ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಲಾಸ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ನ ಆ ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ನ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರಿ ಕಂಪನಿ ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಲಾಸ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಜೊತೆ ಅಗ್ರಿಗೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದ ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಲಾಸ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರರ್ ಕಂಪನಿ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ಅಗ್ರಿಗೇಟೆಡ್ ವಿತ್ ದಿ ಕರೆಸ್ಪಾಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಇನ್ ದಿ ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಲಾಸ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರಿ ಕಂಪನಿ, ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅಂಡರ್ ಅಮಾಲ್ಗಮೇಷನ್ ಇನ್ ದಿ ನೇಚರ್ ಆಫ್ ಮರ್ಜರ್. But under amalgamation in the nature of purchase, the balance of profit and loss account appearing in the financial statement of the transferor company, that is A and B company, whether debit or credit, loses its identity. Okay, so you have to observe and you have to keep it in mind the examples. A and B is the transfer company and C is the new company. Okay, then you will get a clarity about the concepts. So in this case, see, under amalgamation the nature of merger, the balance of profit and loss account of, that is the balance of profit and loss account appearing in the financial statement of the transferor company, that is under A and B company, whether debit balance or credit balance, that is positive balance or negative balance, loses its identity, because this amalgamation, the nature of purchase, is related to the acquisition. After acquiring the assets from the another company by the existing company, the existing company, the company will be going to loses its identity. So even the profit and loss account balance is also loses its identity. Either it is a debit balance or credit balance. So that is the difference. So under amalgamation, the nature of merger, the balance of profit and loss account must be aggregated with the corresponding balance of the transferee company. But in case of amalgamation, the nature of purchase, the balance of profit and loss account of the transferor company will be going to either debit or credit. It will be going to lose its identity. That's it. Okay, so see the next difference based on the treatment of non-statutory reserve. That is, so before going to know about these differences, first of all you have to know what is a statutory reserve and what is non-statutory reserve. Okay, let me discuss now first the statutory reserve. See, statutory reserve, the name only indicates as per the statute, as per the provisions, as per the law. Okay, so as per the statute and provisions, the company will be going to maintain the reserves for non-specific purpose, that is general reserve. So general reserve maintained by the company based on the statute or provisions for possible claims. Okay, see, for example, take insurance company and insurance agencies. So each insurance agencies will be guided by the state, that is individual state. So as per the regulations of the individual state, the insurance company will be going to keep a reserve for possible claim, that is in order to protect the insurees. So it is a compulsory, because as per the statute, as per the law, the company will be going to maintain the reserves, that is statutory reserve. So similarly, the non-statutory reserve is nothing but it is not a compulsion by the law or provisions or statute. But to be the safer side, the company board of directors thinks that to keep a small amount of reserve in the company. For example, take a specific purpose, that is replacement reserve for a fixed asset. So the board of directors thinks that in future, if any damages will be occurred for the fixed asset, then this reserve will be going to helpful to recover that fixed asset damages. Okay, so intentionally the board of directors, intentionally the companies will be going to keep a small amount of reserves for the safer side. So these type of reserves will be called as non-statutory reserves. Okay, so in this non-statutory reserves, the companies will be going to kept a reserve with intentionally, but under statutory reserve, as per the provisions and law only, the companies will be going to maintain the reserves. So this is the differences between statutory reserve and non-statutory reserves. See, in this case we are going to learn how this non-statutory reserves will be treated under the different nature, that is under the nature of merger and under the nature of purchase. See, treatment of non-statutory reserve. Credit or revenue or any reserves should be recorded at their existing carrying amount in the same from as at the date of amalgamation. See, in case of amalgamation in the nature of merger, any capital and any revenue or profit and any statutory reserves should be recorded at their existing carrying amount, is nothing but at the book value, that is from the date of amalgamation. From the date of amalgamation, all the companies should be record the capital, reserves and non-statutory reserves at their book value. That's it. Okay, see, in case of amalgamation in the nature of purchase, capital revenues should not be included in the financial statement of the transferee company. Okay, so in this amalgamation, the nature of purchase, the non-statutory reserves will be ignored in the financial statement. But in case of amalgamation, the nature of merger, they are going to record the non-statutory reserves at their existing carrying amount or book value. Okay, see, I will give in a explanation here what is statutory reserve, non-statutory reserves. So other than statutory reserves is nothing but non-statutory reserve. So this type of reserves are set up for a specific purpose. See, the replacement reserve for fixed asset. So this is the example for non-statutory reserves, and non-specific like general reserve. So general reserves maintained by the company as per the provisions. So this is non-specific, means it is not a, that is non-specific in the sense as per the compulsion, that is as per the provisions, the company will be going to maintain the general reserve. So it is comes under the statutory reserves. Okay, so see, statutory reserves are retained at the existing carrying amount by the entry. In this difference, they are not going to speak about the non-statutory reserves, means the non-statutory reserves should not be included in the financial statement of the transferee company under amalgamation in the nature of purchase, but the statutory reserves are retained at their existing carrying amount by the entry. Okay, see the differences between the amalgamation in the nature of merger and amalgamation in the nature of purchase, that is about treatment of non-statutory reserves. Under amalgamation in the nature of merger, the non-statutory reserves and capital and revenue will be recorded at their existing carrying amount, but in case of amalgamation in the nature of purchase, statutory reserves are retained at their existing carrying amount, that is book value. Okay, see the difference, don't get confusions. Okay, next difference is based on treatment of statutory reserves by under different nature. See, statutory reserves are returned at the existing carrying amount in the books of transferee company. So transferee company is also called as purchasing company. Okay, so let's see how the statutory reserves will be treated under the different nature, that is under amalgamation in the nature of merger and the amalgamation in the nature of purchase. See, statutory reserves under amalgamation in the nature of merger are returned at the existing carrying amount in the books of transferee company. Okay, so these statutory reserves, I already explained what is statutory reserve and non-statutory reserves. So statutory reserves, for example, take general reserve. So general reserves are returned at the existing carrying amount or book value in the books of transferee company. So transferee company books alli general reserve or statutory reserves na returned at the existing carrying amount ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಬುಕ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂ ಏನಿದೆಯೋ ಅದ್ರ ಬೇಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ರಿಟರ್ನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸಿ ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಮಾಲ್ಗಮೇಷನ್ ದಿ ನೇಚರ್ ಆಫ್ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್, ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಚ್ಯುಟರಿ ರಿಸರ್ವ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ಡ್ ಟು ಅಮಾಲ್ಗಮೇಷನ್ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್. Okay, so in this amalgamation the nature of purchase, the statutory reserves, that is general reserves or any other related statutory reserves, all statutory reserves under amalgamation in the nature of purchase are completely transferred to amalgamation adjustment ಅಕೌಂಟ್. ಅಂದರೆ ಅಮಾಲ್ಗಮೇಷನ್ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ನ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅಮಾಲ್ಗಮೇಷನ್ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ಗೆ ಯಾವುದೆಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಚ್ಯುಟರಿ ರಿಸರ್ವ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೋ ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟಾಗಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಮಾಲ್ಗಮೇಷನ್ ದಿ ನೇಚರ್ ಆಫ್ ಮರ್ಜರ್, if any statutory reserves are returned to the transferee company based on the book value or existing carrying amount ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಬೇಸ್ಡ್ ಆನ್ ದಿ goodwill and capital reserve. Okay, see, amalgamation in the nature of merger. So if any differences between the purchase consideration or purchase cost and the value of the net asset taken over must be adjusted against the reserves. See, this is very important difference. Under amalgamation in the nature of merger, if there is any difference, so when we will get the difference in the sense, that is when the transferor company will be going to transfer its assets and liabilities to the transferee company. For the assets taken over by the transferor company by the transferee company, then the transferee company will be going to pay some of the consideration to the transferor company for taken over the assets and liabilities. Okay, so From transferor company, the transferee company assets and liabilities are taken over. For that, the purchasing company will be going to pay some of the amount to the transferor company. Okay, so this asset taken over value and the purchase consideration value. If there is any difference between this purchase consideration cost and value of the net asset taken over by the transferee company, must be adjusted against the reserves of the company. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್ ಕನ್ಸಿಡರೇಷನ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ನೆಟ್ ಅಸೆಟ್ ಟೇಕನ್ ಓವರ್ ಇವೆರಡರ ಮಧ್ಯೆ ಏನಾದರೂ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಏನಾದರೂ ಬಂದರೆ ದಟ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆನ್ಸ್ ಮಸ್ಟ್ ಬಿ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ವಿತ್ ದಿ ರಿಸರ್ವ್ಸ್ ಜೊತೆ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ರಿಸರ್ವ್ಸ್ ಜೊತೆ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಂಡು ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಲಾಸ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸಸ್ನ ತಗೋಬೇಕು. ಅಂದರೆ ಪ್ರಾಫಿಟ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಲಾಸ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಬ್ಯಾಲೆನ್ಸಸ್ನ ಕ್ಯಾಲ್ಕುಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಮಾಲ್ಗಮೇಷನ್ ದಿ ನೇಚರ್ ಆಫ್ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್, ಲೆಟ್ ಸಿ any differences between the purchasing cost or net asset taken over will be treated as the goodwill and capital reserve. Under amalgamation in the nature of purchase, if there is any differences between the purchase consideration and net asset taken over by the company, so that difference will be treated as ಗುಡ್ವಿಲ್ ಆರ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ರಿಸರ್ವ್ ಅಂತ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಮಾಲ್ಗಮೇಷನ್ ಇನ್ ದಿ ನೇಚರ್ ಆಫ್ ಮರ್ಜರ್, ದ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟೆಡ್ ಅಗೇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ ದಿ ರಿಸರ್ವ್. ಬಟ್ ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಮಾಲ್ಗಮೇಷನ್ ಇನ್ ದಿ ನೇಚರ್ ಆಫ್ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್, ದ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಟ್ರೀಟೆಡ್ ಆಸ್ ಗುಡ್ವಿಲ್ ಆರ್ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ರಿಸರ್ವ್. ಸೊ ಗುಡ್ವಿಲ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಕ್ಯಾಪಿಟಲ್ ರಿಸರ್ವ್ ಯಾವ ಸಿಚುವೇಶನ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಜನರೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾನು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ಸ್ನ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪ್ಲೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಡೋಂಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷನ್ಸ್ ಹಿಯರ್. ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ how the companies will be going to treat the goodwill and capital reserve. Okay, that's it. The next difference is based on incorporation of assets and liabilities. So in this difference, we are going to learn how the companies will be going to register and incorporate their assets and liabilities. Okay, so under amalgamation the nature of merger, the company will be going to incorporate and register its assets and liabilities based on the existing carrying amount or book value. So book value ಏನಿರುತ್ತೋ, existing carrying amount ಏನಿರುತ್ತೋ ಅದರ ಬೇಸ್ ಮೇಲೆ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇನ್ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್ ರಿಜಿಸ್ಟ್ರೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಈಚ್ ಅಸೆಟ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟೀಸ್ ನ. ಸೊ ಅಂಡರ್ ಅಮಾಲ್ಗಮೇಷನ್ ದಿ ನೇಚರ್ ಆಫ್ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್, the company will be going to record at agreed value or fair market value. Means transferee company ಬಂದು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರರ್ ಕಂಪನಿ ಹತ್ರದಿಂದ ಎಷ್ಟೆಷ್ಟು ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಯೂಗೆ ಅಸೆಟ್ಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಲಯಬಿಲಿಟೀಸ್ನ ತಗೊಂಡಿದೆ ಅದ್ರ ಪ್ರಕಾರ ರೆಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಅಂದರೆ ಇನ್ಕಾರ್ಪೊರೇಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂಡರ್ ಅಮಾಲ್ಗಮೇಷನ್ ದಿ ನೇಚರ್ ಆಫ್ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸಿ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್, ಅಮಾಲ್ಗಮೇಷನ್ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಐ ವಿಲ್ ಟೆಲ್ ಯು why we are going to open the amalgamation adjusted account while doing the problem. So don't get confusion here. So you have to understand, no need to open amalgamation adjustment account in the books of purchasing company. Okay, so in case of amalgamation the nature of merger, the companies are no need to open the amalgamation adjustment account in the books of purchasing company. So amalgamation the nature of purchase ಅಲ್ಲಿ, amalgamation the nature of merger ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಪನೀಸ್ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅಮಾಲ್ಗಮೇಷನ್ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡೋ ನೆಸೆಸಿಟಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಬೈ ಪರ್ಚೇಸಿಂಗ್ ಕಂಪನಿ ಆರ್ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರಿ ಕಂಪನಿ. ಬಟ್ ಇನ್ ಕೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಮಾಲ್ಗಮೇಷನ್ ದಿ ನೇಚರ್ ಆಫ್ ಪರ್ಚೇಸ್, ದರ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ನೆಸೆಸರಿ ಟು ಓಪನ್ ದಿ ಅಮಾಲ್ಗಮೇಷನ್ ಅಡ್ಜಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಕೌಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ in the books of transferee company or purchasing company, because all the reserves, that is statutory reserves, can be transferred to amalgamation adjustment account in the books of transferee company, that is under amalgamation in the nature of purchase. So amalgamation in the nature of purchase ಅಲ್ಲಿ statutory reserves ನ ನಾವು ಬೇರೆ ತರ ಟ್ರೀಟ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. How in the sense that all statutory reserves must and should be transferred to amalgamation adjustment account. So therefore the companies are going to must and should they going to open the amalgamation adjustment account in the books of transferee company or purchasing company. So these are the various differences between the amalgamation in the nature of merger and amalgamation in the nature of purchase. So it is a very important concept for your 12 marks or 6 marks. Okay, so it is also important for your UGC and NTA exams. Okay, so thanks for watching. For latest videos, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. So thanks for watching once again.